I thought I had it all, the perfect marriage, a beautiful family, a future I could trust. But one day, a single discovery ripped apart everything I believed in, and nothing was ever the same. Hey folks, I could really use some advice. I guess part of me feels like maybe I should be doing some real soul searching right now, figuring out whether I'm just overreacting, or if this is one of those times when it's smarter to walk away before things get worse. My wife and I have been together for 10 years now. Married for 2. She's been my first everything, first love, first real partner, first best friend. We've been through everything side by side, and we even have a beautiful little boy who just turned 3. About 6 months ago, she sat me down and told me she wasn't happy with our relationship anymore. She couldn't exactly explain why, not at first. We had a lot of long, heavy talks after that, trying to dig through it together. And somehow, most of those conversations ended with her blaming herself, saying she felt like something was broken inside her, not between us. When we first got together, we were just 2 kids full of dreams. And over time, somehow, we actually built all of it. We live in a gorgeous house now, pool out back, big garden, surrounded by family that loves us and a little boy who lights up every room he walks into. Money's not a problem either. Between us, we pull in over $300,000 a year. On paper, we have the kind of life people dream about. But somewhere along the line, the spark we had, it started to flicker out. And it felt like I was the only one who noticed. Then something happened that shook me. It started with a conversation she had, harmless at first, or so she said. She admitted later that she hid it from me because she didn't want me to misunderstand and blow it into something bigger than it was. Deep down, I knew it probably was nothing serious. Still, I couldn't shake the anger I felt, not because of the conversation itself but because she kept it from me. The weirdest part? The message wasn't even from the guy I had originally been worried about. Just some random conversation that didn't really matter. Yet the fact that she felt the need to hide it, it gnawed at me. Things only got worse from there. Later on, she told me about a night when she ended up alone with another man, someone we both knew casually. It started with them stepping aside to have a private talk. But things got physical fast. He kissed her, started unbuttoning her jeans, and it turned into something more. According to her, she felt trapped, unsure of how to stop it without making a bigger scene. She tried to push him away subtly, she said, but she never outright told him no. And so it happened. She let it happen. All the while knowing it was wrong, terrified of what it might cost her, but too scared, too frozen to stop it. She's admitted it openly. Said she regrets it every day. That she still doesn't fully understand why she didn't push him away harder. That she was scared, confused, and overwhelmed. The craziest part? This all came out right before a huge family event we had been looking forward to for months. The kind of day where both our families, my parents, her brother, her sister-in-law, our nephew, everyone would be together, celebrating. And somehow, in all that hurt and anger, I decided not to ruin it. I swallowed the truth, shoved it down deep, and put on a smile for our little boy. Because in that moment, I just couldn't tear apart everything in front of all the people we love. Since then, we've had 2 long, gut-wrenching talks, 3 hours each, where we laid everything bare. No yelling, no accusations, just raw honesty. She says she wants to fight for our family, to fix what's broken. She's sorry. Truly sorry. And part of me believes her. In 10 years together, she's never given me any reason to doubt her until now. This wasn't a pattern, it was a single, awful mistake. And the truth is, I still love her. Always have. She's still the person I pictured growing old with. But now I'm stuck. Am I a fool for even considering staying? Or is one terrible mistake not enough to throw away a lifetime we built together? I don't know. I'm tired. I'm heartbroken. I'm confused. Any advice would mean the world to me. I always pictured growing old with her, the woman I trusted completely, the one I called my angel. She's still beautiful to me, but the pain she left behind cuts deeper than anything I can explain. Every time I look at her now, it's like a film reel starts playing in my head, that vivid, awful memory I can't shut off, and it makes it almost unbearable to be in the same room. All I ever wanted was simple, a happy, strong family. I wanted to be the kind of dad my little boy could look up to, the kind of man who showed up, stayed present, and gave his family everything they deserved. And even though the idea of losing that dream terrifies me, I know the bigger battle right now isn't just about fear, it's about trust. Deep down, despite everything, I still believe her when she says she regrets what happened. I believe she's truly sorry and that she's trying to make sense of what she did. I know, maybe it's naive of me. Maybe it's foolish. But these are the feelings pounding in my chest and I needed to get them out somehow, even if it's just by writing them down. I never wanted to control her. Never wanted to be the kind of guy who told his wife where she could go or who she could talk to. I always gave her the freedom to enjoy her nights out, to chase her own interests, trusting without hesitation because that's what love meant to me. But now, trust feels like something broken inside me, something that might never fit right again. I'm scared. Not just scared of getting hurt again, but scared of becoming someone bitter or paranoid. I don't want to be that man. What's worse is the confusion inside me because I know there are people out there who live their lives differently, open relationships, shared experiences. I even have a friend who willingly lets his wife go on dates with other men, and somehow, it brings him peace and happiness. I can't wrap my head around that. I can't imagine ever feeling anything but hollow in a situation like that. Maybe that's my limit, the line I just can't cross. The truth is, hardly anyone even knows what's been going on. Only one person, my closest friend, found out. And even then, it was only after everything had already happened. My wife had chances to come clean sooner. She could have stopped it. She could have told me. But she didn't. Instead, she tried to erase the evidence first, asking her colleague to wipe out their chats, deleting messages from her phone, blocking him everywhere she could, except Skype for some reason. She acted like she was trying to save what was left, but the damage was already done. Now we're standing at a crossroads. We're trying to keep our home stable for our son, to shield him from all this hurt. At the same time, we're facing the ugly reality of what splitting up would look like. We built so much together during the years we were married, and now trying to divide it fairly feels overwhelming. From what I can tell, she'd walk away with about $300,000 from me, plus $800 a month in support. It's not that she's worried about maintaining her lifestyle, she's never been greedy. She's never lived extravagantly. That almost makes it worse. It makes it harder to hate her. It makes it harder to walk away. We never used to have secrets. No locked phones, no hidden passwords. We trusted without question. And now, every time I think about the future, it's like standing on shaky ground. I'm torn between two parts of myself. One side says people make mistakes. That maybe this was a terrible, isolated thing, and it doesn't erase all the good she's done. The other side whispers that once a boundary is crossed, it's never the same again, no matter how badly you want it to be. I don't know what's right anymore. All I know is I still love her. And I'm still hurting. I remember looking at her that night, barely able to keep myself together. I asked her, no, I yelled at her, how could she have been so naive? How could she not recognize what was happening and put a stop to it before it crossed that line? She told me that when it first started, the conversation between them seemed completely normal. They even talked about their kids, about their partners, the kind of harmless small talk you'd expect at a family barbecue, not the start of something devastating. She swore up and down that she had never once fantasized about being with anyone else during our years together. That the situation she found herself in that night, it wasn't planned, it wasn't wanted. She said it caught her completely off guard, like some sick twist she wasn't prepared for. And when she confessed all of this to me, at first I was just stunned, frozen. Then it hit me, the anger, the disappointment, the heartbreak all crashing down at once. I screamed at her louder than I ever thought possible, God, how could you be so incredibly stupid? I couldn't wrap my head around it, how someone I trusted so deeply, someone I built a whole life with, could allow things to spiral like that when she knew better. When she knew it was wrong. At the same time, somewhere inside I could see that she was broken too. She wasn't making excuses. She wasn't trying to twist it into something less ugly. She was admitting it, full on, with her head down and tears in her eyes. As for custody, we've started talking about what that would look like if it came to that. Right now, she's saying I can see my son every day if I want to. No restrictions. No games. She admits, and I appreciate her honesty here, that in his eyes, I'm even more important than she is. He looks up to me. He needs me. And honestly, she's right about that. Still, I'm not naive enough to believe it'll always stay this way. Life moves on. People meet new partners. And when she eventually does, there's no telling what new dynamics that'll bring into my relationship with my boy. It's hard because looking back, I realized that part of her falling apart wasn't about me. It was about herself, her own self-doubt, her fears, her insecurities bubbling up after 10 years of being together. She admitted that during her personal crisis, she battled with thoughts like, maybe I committed too early. Maybe I missed out on something in life. Those kinds of doubts, the ones that creep in late at night and eat you alive if you're not careful. She said, and I want to believe her, that she never wanted to cheat. Never intended for things to cross that line. It wasn't something she fantasized about or sought out. It was just a stupid, impulsive mistake that shattered everything we built. And I'll tell you this plainly. If I ever find out that anything she told me, any part of this confession, was a lie or that she left out important details. That's it. It'll be over for good. I'm not going to live my life in a marriage built on half-truths. But right now, today, I'm not ready to close the chapter. Not yet. I know deep down that if it comes to that, if this all falls apart, I'll survive. I'll find happiness again somehow. I'll build joyful moments with my son, even if it's just the two of us. I know that any hardship tied to custody, schedules, or heartache will get easier over time. Time heals things you think are unfixable. But no matter what happens, no matter how this plays out, the truth is I'm already grieving. Because no matter how much she says she's sorry, no matter how much I want to believe in second chances, a part of me knows our marriage, the marriage I thought we had, is already gone. And the part of me that trusted her without hesitation? I don't know if that part will ever come back. After everything came out, I made it clear to her, absolutely clear, that if even one more lie surfaced, that would be it. The final end of us. No reconciliation. No second, third, or fourth chances. At first she seemed to accept it. But not long after she shifted into a different gear. More aggressive, more demanding. She started talking about her rights in the divorce, how she wanted 50% of the house, half of everything we had built together. She wanted it all, despite the betrayal that shattered our marriage. I didn't want things to get ugly, but I wasn't about to get steamrolled either. So I reached out to a lawyer friend of mine for advice. He told me pretty bluntly, legally her chances of walking away with a huge payout weren't very strong. It gave me a little peace of mind, knowing I wasn't going to be completely gutted on top of everything else. Through more painful conversations, she eventually admitted something else, something I wasn't sure whether to be angrier or sadder about. She said the relationship she had with that man had become a cycle. She kept going back. Even after realizing how wrong it was. Even after feeling guilt, shame, regret. It wasn't a one-time slip. It had become an addiction to an unhealthy dynamic that neither of them had the strength to break cleanly. At one point, in a moment of pure frustration, she even tried blaming me. Tried saying that if I had only noticed, if I had saved her, maybe none of this would have happened. But I wasn't having it. I've been there for her through everything. I offered counseling. I offered support. I tried to be the rock she could lean on. But you can't save someone from the choices they're determined to make behind your back. When I insisted on going through a proper legal divorce, not some messy handshake agreement, I told her we were doing it cleanly, fairly, but firmly. Mandatory counseling, clear property division, no dragging things out in court later. After some more back and forth, she finally agreed. She said she wouldn't push for half our assets anymore. She'd be content taking only what she had before our marriage started. Honestly, I agreed to that arrangement without blinking. Despite all the anger, despite the hurt, I still want her to have a place where our son can feel comfortable when he visits her. Because at the end of the day, no matter what she did to me, my little boy deserves both his parents standing tall for him. She's finally accepted that what happened wasn't just a lapse in judgment. It wasn't some accident. It was a colossal failure of character, plain and simple. We agreed to a custody split, 60-40. It's in my favor. So my son will spend more time with me but still have regular time with his mom. And as much as it guts me to say it, a part of me still mourns the dream of a full family under one roof. That vision, Sunday barbecues, holidays together, helping with homework at the kitchen table, that dream was everything to me. I realized something though. Even if you gave me a 100% guarantee that she would never betray me again, even if you promised me she would be perfect from here on out, it still wouldn't be enough. Because now I know who she is when things get hard. And I don't know if I could ever truly forget how easily she destroyed everything we built. Right now, I'm working through the divorce on my terms. I'm setting boundaries to make sure there are no future attempts to claw back for more money, or open old wounds down the road. My lawyer warned me about postnuptial agreements, that even those can be challenged later in court. So instead of chasing some illusion of legal protection, I'm focusing on full, clean transparency now. Making sure everything is divided and documented while I still have control over it. Trust, the one thing we built everything on, is gone. And without it, nothing else stands. Lately, I've been thinking about offering her a lie detector test. Not as some weird punishment or power move, but as a way to finally clear the air. To make sure there aren't any more hidden pieces of the story she hasn't told me. It's not about getting back together. It's about respect. Respecting the decision to end things and trying to stop any more unnecessary pain before it sinks deeper. Because the truth is, even now, even after everything, she doesn't want to let me go. She's clinging to the idea that somehow, maybe, there's still a way to hold the family together. She says she's open to answering anything I want to ask. She swears she's done hiding. That she's not blaming me for her unhappiness or for her mistakes. She says this whole mess came from within her, not because of anything I failed to do. And she's determined in her way to show me that her actions weren't about selfishness. She's refused any financial help from me, saying she's going to stand on her own 2 feet now. And believe me, she's stubborn enough to do it. In fact, she even told me that if I wanted to start dating again, she wouldn't stand in the way, even though she admitted it would break her heart. She's already trying to make peace with the idea that I'll be with someone else. Because as much as she wants me back, she says she understands why I can't stay. But here's the hard part. The words of someone who has lied to you once, they don't weigh much anymore. They're like promises made by a stranger on the street, promises you can't afford to believe. And she knows that. She understands why I'm skeptical. She just hopes there's still some way to prove that she's changed. Part of the reason I'm even considering the polygraph is because she admitted they had unprotected intimacy. And that reality, the thought of her past with another man, it keeps looping in my head like a song I can't turn off. That's the piece that won't let me move forward. I'm struggling. Because it's not just about what she did, it's about what it means. How do you build something new on top of the ashes of something that felt sacred? The saddest part? When I look at it now, I realize there was nothing I could have done differently. There was no magical thing I could have said or done that would have saved her from making those choices. Her unhappiness wasn't about me. It was inside her all along, a silent, hidden thing that no amount of love could fix. Now she's throwing herself into self-help books, therapy sessions, anything that promises healing. She's trying in her own broken way to become a better person. She says she's staying here, not because I'm forcing her to, but because she believes that if you break something, you owe it to yourself to try to fix it. But despite all her promises, despite the tears, despite the new dedication to growth, there's still this nagging fear inside me that history will repeat itself. Because she doesn't seem to really hold the other man responsible for anything. And if you can't see who helped you destroy your life the first time, how can you promise not to do it again? When I think about everything, I don't feel hatred. I'm not looking for revenge. What I feel is regret. Regret that I didn't know who she really was before I gave her my whole life. Back when we were still in college, life felt full of promise. I dove deep into the world of computer science, programming, systems, networks. I couldn't get enough. Meanwhile, Karen had her eyes set on becoming a corporate lawyer. She was ambitious, sharp, and driven, all the things that first drew me to her. Funny enough, it was computers that brought us closer. Karen struggled at first with some of the systems she needed to master for her law coursework. One of her professors, knowing I was a tech guy, pointed her in my direction. I helped her out without thinking twice. Patient, determined, just happy to lend a hand. That help, in a strange way, helped launch her career. Karen worked her way up fast, and not long after graduation she landed a big position in Chicago, assistant head of the legal department at a prestigious firm. While she was climbing the legal ladder, I finished my degree in computer science and set my sights on the growing world of video game development. It didn't take long for me to realize I didn't want to work for someone else. I wanted to build something of my own. So I did. I founded my own small business, a software development company. Over the years, I built up different projects, but I made a point never to get too tied to one client. Our company stayed lean, just me, Karen, handling some admin stuff early on, and a small team of specialists we hired per project. They worked on commission, a percentage of each deal, which kept the operation simple and nimble. Because the software world is insanely competitive and ruthlessly cutthroat, I stayed anonymous. Completely anonymous. No employees, not even Karen, knew I was the real founder behind the company's biggest projects. Not because I didn't trust them, but because I knew too well how valuable information could be, and how easily things could go wrong. Despite what some people might think, I was deeply committed to Karen, loyal to our marriage, to the life we were building. I would have never done anything to jeopardize that. But now I see things more clearly. Karen didn't feel the same way about loyalty. That's why I feel the need to share everything that happened. The real story, the one that most people will never hear. In my quest to uncover the full truth, I stumbled onto something else. It all started when I got involved in investigating a breach at a software company called Marco Corp. One of their star developers, Jeff Marks, had built a powerful program that could monitor securities transactions, a game changer in the finance tech world. But someone inside Marco was suspected of selling off the source code to a rival company. Jeff needed help figuring out who was betraying him. As I dug in, it didn't take long to uncover the truth. One of Jeff's own programmers, a guy named Tom, had been siphoning off pieces of the software and selling them. I even figured out exactly how he was doing it. While I was documenting everything for Jeff, carefully building the case, his cell phone started ringing. He wasn't in the room at the time. And normally I wouldn't have even looked twice. But something made me glance over at the screen. And when I did, my blood ran cold. The caller ID flashed the name Karen. And it wasn't just any Karen. It was my Karen. My wife's phone number. For a split second, my first instinct was to grab the phone and confront her on the spot. But then something inside me stopped me, a cold, hollow voice that said, "Wait." I stood there, staring at the screen, feeling like the floor had dropped out from under me. Heart racing. Mind spinning. The woman I loved, the woman I would have defended with my last breath, was calling a man I barely knew, a man caught up in secrets and betrayal. And just like that, everything I thought I knew about my marriage started crumbling around me. I didn't have all the answers yet, but deep down I already knew. Karen's betrayal wasn't just about weakness. It was about choices. And the devastation of realizing that? It left me completely shattered. After that phone call, after seeing Karen's name flash across Jeff's phone, I couldn't help but spiral. I kept wondering, how could she betray me like this? The woman who once said she loved me more than life itself, how could she lie with such ease? It made me question everything. Was her love for me ever real? Or had our entire marriage been built on a lie? For a moment, it felt like the walls of my world were collapsing around me. Everything I had fought for, sacrificed for, the late nights, the early mornings, the silent promises we made to each other, suddenly seemed meaningless. Like I had poured my whole life into a dream that was never real. But somehow I pulled myself together. I couldn't afford to let my emotions take over, not yet. There were still too many unanswered questions. Driven by a painful curiosity, I decided to dig deeper. I reached out to Jeff under the guise of discussing the breach we were investigating, hoping I might glean more information. And that morning, talking to him casually, I learned more than I ever expected. Jeff talked openly, maybe too openly. He bragged, actually, said that attractive women like Karen still couldn't resist him. Said it with a cocky grin, like he was proud of what he'd done. I asked him, bluntly, if he really thought she loved him. And to my shock he said yes. Said she had confessed her love to him, but also admitted that she enjoyed having passionate affairs on the side. Hearing that shattered whatever little pieces of trust were still clinging inside me. There was no longer any doubt in my mind. The computer boy Jeff mentioned? That was me. Was my Karen. Everything snapped into painful focus. She hadn't just made a one-time mistake. She had willfully, knowingly betrayed me, again and again. When I got home later that day, I made sure to move carefully. I disabled the main surveillance camera in our garage using the remote, making it look like a technical glitch. I noticed an unfamiliar car parked down the street, not even trying to hide. I maneuvered into the garage, closed the door, and stayed quiet. Inside the house, I carefully rewound the security footage, erasing any trace of my presence. I didn't want Karen or anyone else to know I was there. I had already set up a separate system, a hidden network of cameras and a voice recorder, all connected to a remote modem so I could monitor everything from a safe distance online. That night, I sat alone in the basement workshop watching the live feed. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it might crack my ribs. And then, Karen came home. She was wearing one of my favorite outfits, a short black dress, spaghetti straps, a deep neckline. It used to be something she wore just for me, when she wanted to feel special, beautiful, wanted. But tonight she wasn't wearing it for me. I knew it the second I saw her walk through the door. The way she carried herself, the way she moved, it wasn't for dinner with friends. It wasn't casual. It was calculated. It was for someone else. Tears welled up in my eyes as I sat there watching, helpless. It hit me so hard because that dress used to be a symbol of intimacy between us, a little secret we shared. Now it felt like a knife twisting in my chest. As she moved around the kitchen, getting ready, there was no hesitation, no nerves. This wasn't the first time. There was no awkwardness, no signs of guilt or reluctance. It was clear as day, this had been going on for a while. If there had been even the slightest hint that this was her first time, if she had looked uncomfortable or trapped, I would have stopped everything right then. I would have stormed upstairs, confronted her, dragged her away from whatever disaster she was walking into. But there was no sign of that. None. This wasn't some accident or misunderstanding. It was a pattern. A choice. I knew then that no amount of talking or begging could fix this. I needed hard evidence, for my peace of mind, for my future, for any court battles that might come later. And unfortunately, everything I feared most, everything I prayed wasn't true. It all came to pass. Karen chose her selfish desires over the life we built together. And that realization broke me more than anything else. That night, after everything I'd seen, after all the heartbreak had finally sunk in, I turned off the monitors. I powered everything down. I climbed into bed, stared at the ceiling in the darkness, and cried until morning. When the first light came through the window, I dragged myself out of bed and caught my reflection in the mirror. My face looked like a ghost. Swollen eyes, messy hair, hollow cheeks. I barely recognized myself. I knew right then, today was going to be one of the hardest days of my life. As I stood there staring myself down, all kinds of dark thoughts crept in. Ending the marriage? Of course. That decision was already made. But part of me, the part that felt broken and small, wanted revenge too. I knew revenge was immature. I knew it wasn't the high road. But a small part of me believed that maybe, just maybe, it would help me heal. Surprisingly though, as much anger as I carried, I didn't hate her. Not in the way you might expect. I didn't want to destroy her. I just wanted her to feel a fraction of what I felt. The betrayal, the humiliation, the emptiness. So I made a plan. Using some skills from my tech background, skills I usually reserved for ethical purposes, I accessed Karen's work computer. I still knew her passwords. Still knew the systems inside and out. I found the tracking program. And from there, I initiated a transfer. A big one. $200,000 from one of my work accounts was moved into Jeff's account. But I wasn't finished. Next, I funneled those funds into a brand new offshore account in Jeff's name, located in the Grandon Islands, a notorious tax haven. I wiped all traces of the transactions as best I could. It wasn't foolproof, but it was enough to leave doubt. Enough to spark the investigation that I knew would come. After cleaning up, I acted like it was just another normal day. Later that afternoon, back at home, Karen came through the front door in tears. She was a mess, shaking, panicking. She told me she had been sent home because of an internal investigation into securities fraud. Specifically, a suspicious $200,000 transfer had been flagged. A transfer that pointed straight back to her. I played dumb. I asked her for more details, pretending I was confused and concerned. She confessed that Jeff, the same Jeff I had already suspected, had somehow gotten tangled up in her world. And in a broken voice, she admitted what I already knew. That she and Jeff had been involved intimately. She tried to spin it. Said it was a lonely mistake. Said my long hours at work made her vulnerable. Said she never meant to hurt me. But honestly, none of her excuses mattered anymore. The damage was done. Nothing she could say could undo the choices she made. As the investigation wrapped up, Jeff ended up taking the fall. He was found guilty of securities fraud, fined $50,000, and forced to sell his house in Highland Park. He moved into a small apartment in Milwaukee, a far cry from the life he had been boasting about. Meanwhile, through the final stages of my business dealings, I finally embraced something I had been ignoring for too long. My own success. The sale of my company brought in another $4 million. On top of everything else, I now had the financial freedom to do whatever I wanted. And Carrie, the woman who had stood quietly by my side helping with the company, believing in me from day one, she surprised me again. One night, while we were talking, she admitted something simple but powerful. She had known who I really was the entire time. All the disguises, all the secrecy, she had seen right through it. And she stayed anyway. Because she believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself. I can't even put into words how much I adore this woman. Her loyalty, her patience, her quiet strength. She was everything Karen had pretended to be, and more. And as painful as the road here has been, standing on the other side of the wreckage, I finally understand. Sometimes you have to lose everything you thought mattered, to find the one thing that really does.